The NRL is back for another year. A few sore heads being nursed after an epic expedition to Vegas, and the big question being asked, what happens next? We're going to find out right now. Yeah, it's The Grapple. It's back. The Grapple podcast coming to you on all of your favourite platforms. Do like, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know. My name's Joel Spreadborough, joined as always by the one and only Johnny Manning here in the sorry, hang on a sec. Johnny, we're recording. Where are you, mate?
Hey, mate, can you hear me? Joel?
Yeah, gotcha. Where are you?
Oh, look, I can't tell you that, mate, actually. Yeah, I'm in an undisclosed location. I've actually been sent on a secret mission, Joel. This is an ASIO and MI6 joint affair. Now, after the World Club Challenge, I've been sent to a breakfast cereal factory in the north of England to gain my refereeing accreditation, because clearly after that performance in the World Club Challenge, Penrith versus Wigan, that is where English referees receive their accreditation. So I'll let you know how I go, but I'm here with you today, brother. I'm donning the California Rugby League jersey of circa 2019-2020. It's got cheeky little, can we see it? Manning on the back there.
Yeah, we can. Number
Peyton
12.
Manning, Johnny Manning.
Yeah.
Number 12, as it were. And, man, what a weekend in Vegas, hey?
What a weekend in Sin City.
How about that ride in? I guess that's why they call it Sin City.
There's our first ever Hollywood guest, Zach Galifianakis there. Great quote.
Let's just call him Alan. We'll call him Alan.
Alan from The Hangover. Johnny, is that your favourite Hangover quote right there?
I think it's got to be up there with my favourite hangover quote. It just says everything about what happened in Sin City. Yeah. And we know, Jolly, that what happens in Vegas, well, at this point, I don't think it's going to stay in Vegas. What do you think?
It does not stay in Vegas. At one point, I got to say, like, there's a lot to talk about, a lot of success to celebrate over in Vegas. And I just thought the end of it and some of the stuff that came out toward the end and the explanations around it kind of reminded me of Alan talking about Caesar's palace and asking the question, did Caesar actually live here? Because it was incredulous. It was like, why are we talking about this when we should be talking about the rugby league in Vegas? But that's all right. We're going to talk about that. But before that, Johnny, you're not here in the studio, but you're here remotely, and I love the technology here at River City Studios, Brisbane, bringing you in from the cereal factory over in the UK, because I think we should play a game. Are you keen for a game?
I love games. What are we going to play?
We're going to play a game. It's a new game. It's called Where Will the NRL Go Next?
Ooh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Many locations have been tossed up, but which one will get the chocolates? Stay tuned and find out.
It's not going to be New Guinea. It's not going to be the Central Coast Bears. I'll bring back the Bears, although I wish it was. I'm well on the bandwagon for bring back the Bears. It's not going to be Perth. Joel, the word that I'm getting out of, and I don't know about you, because I know you have your own sources in NRL HQ, but the word that I'm getting out of there is the NRL are looking to expand and put a franchise, a team, on the west coast of Africa.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. At the Ivory Coast, no less. But that's the word I'm getting. I don't know if it's signed, sealed, and delivered yet. Are you getting any information, mate?
I'd heard a tiny little whisper about the west coast of Africa, and there's a few tiny little logistics involved in that. Negotiating with various shipping companies as far as sort of getting over there for the home and away season. Where are we going to play our games? How often do we play in there and whatnot? Also,
there's a couple of local warlords they'll need to speak to as well, just to try and ensure that movement through different checkpoints is smooth.
Oh yeah,
but
also like talent acquisition. Obviously, rugby league is huge in West Africa. The junior numbers are out of control. So making sure that those pathways are in place is a massive priority. I did another one that came out, and after the weekend, everyone's excited. People do things in Las Vegas. They get married. They spend all their money. They lose their stuff. They lose their minds. All of that. They also lose their marbles in the sense of suggesting, you know what? This weekend has been so good. Let's get an NRL team over here in Vegas. Let's see that tomorrow.
I believe you're referring to New South Wales Sports Minister Steve Camper, who has come out and said, after that, we need a team in Vegas. I'm a politician. What's popular at the moment? I'm going to hitch my wagon to that and make a completely outlandish, ridiculous statement. Oh, my God.
Up there with the West African rhinos, I think, is the Las Vegas slot machines, or whatever you want to call them. What would you call a Las Vegas team?
Oh, the Las Vegas Broken Dreams. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say the Fear and Loathings. The Fear and Loathings. The Vegas Fear and Loathings taking on the West African rhinos.
The Las Vegas Hunter S. Thompsons. Look, there was a very, very funny term on Twitter, or X, as we call it now, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, that someone said when this sporting minister came out with this idea to play 5 home games and have a team based in Las Vegas, he said they've totally jumped the shark. It made me laugh. I can't take credit for that joke, but that's exactly what they're doing.
Hey, I know what we should do. Get over to Vegas.
I thought you heard a whisper that there was one coming out of a Central American team.
Yeah. There's absolutely, there are a couple. There are a couple more that have been tossed out. Now there is a legitimate one here. Just Petro Civoniceva's got on the bandwagon as well. Obviously, Melbourne Storm went over and played the Knights in a trial over in Fiji, and then Petro came out and said, you know what, it'd be good, a team in Fiji. And you know why it'd be good? Because I'll tell you what, Fiji Airways, the national carrier, geez, they do a good job. It's Civoniceva, just for the check that you're paying me there to talk about Fiji. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, NRL in Fiji. C, not a K. The other one, now this one, I think this one has some genuine traction. This is a good one. So there's some logistical chats underway. We're looking at budgets. We're looking at how we'd get there and get back and sort of translate rugby league. But they're thinking about putting a team in the lost city of the Amazon. Johnny, have you heard about that one?
Look, I thought that consortium was dead and buried, but hearing this from you obviously means someone has breathed some life into the lost city of the Amazon NRL bid, which, hey, it's as good an option as any. As you said, there is a solid fan base there, very parochial, very vicious, very, very vocal fan base. If they can find the city, then I think at some point they need to put an NRL team there, this lost city. If it ends up being found, there most definitely should be a team there, I feel. It's probably the logical next step.
I think it is. I think there's been whispers for a while, archaeologists obviously on the trail of the lost city. And, it's one of those things that once they find it, get some basic infrastructure in place. It's like goalposts and mow a field. You'll get an airstrip there, put the field right next to it, so you don't need to travel. You can land and you can go play your game, get back on the plane. And it's one of those things. The NRL's toughest road trip has just been usurped by having to go to the Amazon, where they will literally eat you alive if you're not on your game, Johnny.
That they'll take bites out of your flesh, yeah. But I mean, as you said, some infrastructure, an airstrip, maybe some plumbing. I guess it all depends, Joel, on actually if they find this lost city. But if they find it, the NRL are going to put a team there.
That's definitely the place.
My words.
That's the front runner right now. The lost city of the Amazon.
Well, I think we should do this on a weekly basis. We should report on where the next NRL franchise is going to be. And the whispers we're hearing, from deep inside the behind the closed doors at Moore Park there at NRL headquarters, because we do have moles in that building, obviously.
I just got some breaking news here. Sorry. Elon Musk and SpaceX have officially commenced talks with Peter V'landys and the ARLC regarding taking an NRL team to the moon and calling them the Moon Rangers.
Yeah, the moon units.
The moon
Yeah, that's
units. Of
I
course,
think
it's
once
the moon
again,
units.
you know, when you say the sky is the limit, then the sky is most definitely the limit in this
I
case.
love it.
But look, uh, I I want to say something. I want to go on record, Mr.
Go.
Spreadbot, and I want
Do
to
it.
say that I have been critical of a lot of things Peter V'landys has done over the years, and there are some rule changes that I still would be happy to sit down and argue with him across the table with. But that magnificent bastard pulled this Vegas thing off, didn't he?
He
He
sure
pulled
did.
it off, and it was spectacular.
It was every, like, from the moment we saw the field being rolled in, from the moment we saw that the fan day, look, I know it was a lot of Aussie fans and all of that, but it was an absolute sellout, 5,000 fans. The games themselves, I can't wait to talk about those. I've got a number of
Mm,
questions for you when we talk about the games.
good.
Look,
Yeah.
a little bit of aftermath, which we'll get into as well, but not to overshadow this absolute spectacle. And also, as we were chatting about on last week's episode of The Grapple, cheeky plug, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, you can go back and have a listen, that this was about more than the two NRL games happening there. And that process unfolding, this beautiful, these international relations with the US and rugby league in the US, all, I think, getting really, really well serviced by a weekend that was years and years, I'm going to say decades in the making. And
Yeah.
PVL, I tell you what, he got onto the Fox League panel after the game, and he was jubilant. He was cracking terrible jokes. He was joking about getting paid in paper bags. He was joking about being better looking than everyone on the panel, which probably wasn't too far off. He's a magnificent human being. But this was a guy he was absolutely he was in delirium. He was so happy. You could tell that he was like, I had no fucking idea if this was going to work, but it did.
Yeah.
And this is me. I'm on cloud nine.
And it without being in the operations team or the inner workings of, what they put together from an outside point of view, it just went off literally without a hitch. I think everything they tried to execute, they executed incredibly. They had one ripper of a game and one game which was a good a tight battle, but it was just incredible. And everything I'm hearing from people who were there, Aussies who were there, but more so the US based guys. There's a fella, and we'll get him on the podcast. His name's Chad Cooper. He's the welfare officer and media officer for the LA Mongrel. He said to me on Monday, their time, he said to me, the last week has been the best 5 days of my life. That's
Mm-hmm.
an American citizen, an American fella saying that this has been the best 5 days of my life. So for them, it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, and Hanukkah all wrapped up into one particular event, and they just loved it and they ate it up, which is just amazing to see. So when we talk about growing the game, is it going to grow the game over there? I don't know. But
Mm.
what it did do is for the diehard leagueies who are over there, it just gave them the thrill of their life.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because the social media. I'm not going to say I've trawled every social media reaction to it, but what I have seen has been pretty positive from the Americans and a real sort of what was that we just saw? What is
Yeah.
actually going on here? And I want to ask you a couple of questions around that because a big part of this, and there's no secret about it, obviously gambling dollars, but obviously TV broadcasting eyeballs in America going, holy shit, what is this we're witnessing now? The first question was local scheduling. Okay, so sort of later starts for that TV audience, especially for that Broncos Roosters game. And then, of course, as we've heard a lot about the college basketball game that forced the delay. So the Manly game, that was 18, 19 minutes into the game before that Fox channel got it to viewers, basically. In your mind, does that detract? What does that do to the overall mission? Those two little... I'm
No,
not going to call them blemishes. They weren't blemishes, but those two factors.
I don't think it matters, and I'll tell you why. You know, it was the first weekend in March. You ever heard of something called March Madness?
Mm-hmm.
That is the college basketball tournament, the NCAA tournament. it's one of the biggest sporting events in America. So anything that's leading into March Madness, where you get a look at the teams that are playing, um, that's got to take priority. Fox probably has a stack of channels, so I would say potentially, maybe a teletext could have been put on the screen that said, the game is actually being started on Fox Sports 4 or Fox
Mm-hmm.
Sports 3, and it'll be on here when this game finishes. So I don't think that's an issue at all. Their goal is to have one primetime rugby league game on a week over there. That's ambitious, especially
Mm.
in a market like America. But the big trump card that the NRL has, and I don't think I gave this the credit it deserved pre-event, is the Fox relationship.
Yep.
So, who owns Fox? Well, it's a fella who's got a fairly vested interest in rugby league. Um, obviously Lachlan and Rupert Murdoch
Brisbane
kicked off
Broncos
Super.
#1 ticket
Yeah,
holders, I
I mean,
believe. Yeah.
you're repping the jersey right now. Lachlan's #1 ticket holder, and they were the guys behind the entire Super League um, split. And whilst people look back on Super League and say it was a dark time for rugby league, that had to happen. Super
Mm-hmm.
League had to happen to rugby league, and rugby league's in a better spot now because of Super League. Um, so I think this Fox relationship, and my two, I guess, takeouts are this: we have just seen Fox tighten their grip on all rugby league broadcasting in Australia. I think that is it's the relationship between the NRL and Fox now has to supersede the NRL's relationship with Channel 9.
It does.
It's huge. But then having that relationship and then trying to attack a market like America, man, that just must grease the wheels. Having that Fox relationship is unreal for a sport like the NRL.
And you saw it in the obviously, the domestic ratings are always going to be high, but they broke their own records here
Yeah.
for round one anyway. And it's remarkable that they did that. People wanted to watch it for the fact that it's our sport being played on American soil. That's a little bit trippy to start off with. But the games themselves, we spoke about this on this show, having some concerns around fitness levels and energy at that time of year. Like there's always rust, and we did see a bit of it, but I also think we saw more than enough. And what we also saw was the likes of Murdoch sharing a box with James Packer. Hello. I
Yeah.
love that this stands for, this is everyone's best interests is NRL in the States.
I mean, they're buddies from way back. I think they were in on the whole one tell thing that
Yep.
was one of the most famous collapses of a business in Australia's history. So they're buddies from way back, Packer and Murdoch, and they're both league lovers. Packer's a Roosters man, Murdoch's a Broncos fella.
Mad Bronco.
So yeah, so when you see two, power brokers like that who are there supporting it, it can't not succeed. And when I say succeed, that depends on what your definition of success is. It doesn't necessarily, it's not going to compete with any of the big four sports over there. So you got American football, the Super Bowl peaked at 200 and something million views, right? You've got the NBA, which is, an amazing product these days. You've got America's pastime, baseball, Major League Baseball, and then you've got the hockey as well. They're their big four professional sports. So we're not going to compete with those, and I don't think that needs to be the goal. And the goal needs to be in some sort of environment coexist. So
Yeah.
you find a hole, you find a hole that you can fit in, and it might be that summer hole where for a chunk of the year all you've got is baseball. So the Super Bowl is in late January, early Feb. The NBA playoffs is done by sort of June. The hockey's done in maybe April. So you might have a little bit of space where there's just baseball, and you can hammer a month or two of rugby league, and it'll be good quality rugby league because we're talking July, August, the lead into the
Yep.
finals. So maybe that's the little sweet spot where we can actually fill a sporting enthusiast's needs in a market like the US.
They've spoken all along about finding a slice, carving a slice. Peter V'landys is not an idiot. We know that. He's been speaking about we there is a big enough market here. There are enough dollars. Let's be honest, beneath the small print, enough gambling dollars here, whatever you want to call it, to find our slice. And I think they did a really good job of that. And I got to say, a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people this week saying, there weren't many people there. 40,000. And it's cyclonic conditions. Let's not forget there were like 100-kilometre-an-hour winds blazing around the stadium. Like, it was pissing down rain. It was windy. It was awful. So, sure, they didn't get a lot of on-the-day sales, which they might have hoped for, a few thousand worth. But I thought 40,000 fans and the energy in that stadium, there was nothing wrong with that. There have been worse ventures in the US.
How many club games, just standard club games, get 40,000? Not many. And how many, and if you want to think of an opening round that might rival this, you would go back to the opening round where they played a doubleheader at the Olympic Stadium in 1999 when they first opened it. Or was it 99 or was it 2000? 99, when they first opened that Olympic Stadium, right? They got 100,000, but it was the opening of the new stadium. It was round one. It was a doubleheader. I think Parramatta played, and I can't think who else. But that, you got 100,000 to an opening round. This is a rugby league match. 12,000 kilometres from any sort of thing that could be considered rugby league heartland, in the middle of Las Vegas, in the stadium that held the Super Bowl, and they got 40,000 in it. Success.
Yeah, big tick. I think big tick. And, you talk about the NFL, MLB, NBA, all of it. You know what they don't have, Johnny?
What's that, mate? What don't they have?
A team in the lost city of the Amazon. So
they don't. They don't. And you know what? It's just like them to overlook the opportunity of it having a team in the lost city of the Amazon. They I think they get a bit too big for their britches. PVL won't. He'll see the opportunity. He'll pounce on it and he'll make it work. If anyone could make a team in the lost city of the Amazon work, it's Peter V'landys.
It's Peter V'landys. And, the games were serious. We've seen games in the past. We've seen top-level rugby league. We've seen internationals. We've seen unofficial origin matches. We've seen club matches. We've seen all manner of matches over the years. These were decent standards. Let's have a look at the games themselves, mate. Match 1 recap. So we had, I think, the fancied Rabbitohs. I've liked the look of this Manly team if they can stay fit coming into this season. And I think we saw what could be a very, very dynamic run for this side. If Luke Brooks can stay fit, I loved him in a Manly jersey. I loved what he did for them. He played without, I guess, the burden on his back that he's had for so many years as the absolute focal point of a struggling Tigers club. I thought he was dynamic. Turbo, Tom Trbojevic, absolutely intimidating, even on watching from, 12,000 plus kilometres away, out of this world. DCE, when does he start to go downhill? The guy has been on the improve for the last 3 or 4 years, and he's in his mid-30s, Johnny.
DCE is becoming a better player the older he gets, in my opinion, because he's always been a freakishly talented player, but he's becoming this more deliberate half. He's not prone to those sort of reckless plays that did, either make him a champion or, lose a game, I guess. But he's unreal. His influence on the game at the moment, I think he could be up there with one of the top 2 or 3 most influential players in the game at the moment. Just the way his play influences the outcome of the game. Turbo, scary.
Yep.
Not good for Origin. He's if he maintains this form, we're in a little bit of trouble. Luke Brooks, really solid. I think what Luke Brooks showed us is probably what we suspected for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't him, it was West's Tigers.
Oh, absolutely. And it was a shackle, wasn't it? He was carrying he was shackled by the struggles of that club.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think he's just going to get better as the year goes on, and he's probably going to prove to be a really good foil for DCE, who hasn't had a good solid 6 since Kieran Foran left Manly, or even I think Jamie Lyon played a bit of 6 there as well. But Ruben Garrick, this kid is just prolific,
isn't he?
What he does. They throw him on the wing, they throw him at fullback, they throw him. Now he's playing in the centres. He's a
I like him
great
in the
player.
centres. I like him in
Yeah,
the centres.
I really like him there too. I think that Olaka Watu, I think he's probably going to be beating down the door for a Blues back row spot. But you're right. You picked Manly. I picked the Rabbits. And, with, I don't know, just into the second half, I thought, okay, the Rabbits are going to run away with this. Cam Murray was
Yeah,
great.
he was great. Yeah, does
For
not
the
stop.
Bunnies. Yeah, Latrell was unreal, probably except for when he needed to be that guy to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and turn it for the Bunnies. He didn't quite do that, but geez, he looks a little bit fitter than he has in previous years. He's going to be in scary good form if he stays fit as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said last week that if he stays fit, he's my pick for the Dally M. I'm going to stick to that. If he's a fit and happy Latrell, I think he's going to really trouble some teams this year.
You can see the mindset there, and he's one of those players we've seen it in the past where if he decides to hit go, he can grab a game and turn it into Latrell's world. Basically, he didn't do it in those cash moments, but I thought the Bunnies, a little bit off in. When push came to shove in that second half, it might have been a little bit of fitness. They might have been a little bit off the pace, but just some of the things they tried, they probably weren't quite sticking. And I have noticed, and we've spoken elsewhere about that Cody Walker can get the shits a little bit when things aren't quite clicking at every turn. I thought he was still good. There was a little bit of tension as well. I thought that may have proved a distraction. I'm going to give Turbo a shout out here. There was a great little halftime fracas. And you could just see Turbo being a statesman of the game with PVL's, words ringing in his ears about what they're trying to do. Get in there and just say, can you just stop it? Just stop it. Just go to the dressing rooms and stop it.
That's sort of Cody Walker 101, isn't it? Like he South score a try, Cody will start a fight. The other team score a try, Cody will start a fight. He I think he sees it as his role to get under the skin of the opposition players, but I think you got to pick your times to do that, or otherwise it just becomes white noise. You don't really have the effect you want to have on the opposition, by niggling and getting under their skin. I think if he focused on doing what he does best, and when he's at his best, he's an unreal player. But I think Souths probably do lack that person like a Turbo or like a DCE who is going to look at the game and say it's in the balance now, but I'm going to tip the scales in our favour. Big shout out to Jacob Gagai scoring a try on debut in Las Vegas. Dane's brother, unreal.
Not bad at all. What a start. We were talking about Fletcher Baker, of course, but yeah, Jacob Gagai as well. Not a bad way to start. And it was funny, like those grandstand players with the grandstand moments. We saw Latrell put on some brilliance, some individual brilliance. Jason Saab, a lot of eyes on him, obviously. He was a player that had been on TV over there, and people, that guy. Running away from that try.
The guy who didn't know what a Rabbitoh was.
Didn't know what a Rabbitoh was?
Anyway,
he runs away for a try, gets up, celebrates, and as you say, there's Cody Walker giving me a little shove after he scores his try. So that highlights that Walker thing for me, because Walker has sprinted 60 metres to give him a little shove after he scored his try, because he was never, ever going to catch Jason Saab. That catch wasn't about making a tackle. That was about having a niggle, I think.
Exactly. And then poor old Saab does his hammy in the second half, the poor bugger.
Yeah.
That would have made for a horrible flight home.
Oh, wouldn't it just? That at altitude, soft, anything like that. Ugh. Anyway, look.
Yuck.
Well done to the Manly Sea Eagles. I don't often say that, but credit where it's due, and I love what you said about DCE as well. Speaking of experienced halves, Adam Reynolds and the Broncos, Johnny. Last time we saw Adam was obviously making a couple of strange decisions in that grand final, a couple of short, ill-fated short dropouts, and being widely, fairly or unfairly criticised for not quite grabbing that game by the scruff of the neck. Now, I'm not going to say this is what happened in Las Vegas, because I think the Broncos were just off the pace. But there were a couple of moments there where their options, they looked a little bit bereft of ideas when they were getting up inside that 30, 20-metre line and really sort of having a shake at it. There was a little bit of shape. And again, early days, But I've got a question for you on that. Is Renault? Is he still our guy?
Yeah, of course he is. And the reason being is there are not too many premiership winning halfbacks around. So if I'm just off the top of my head, you have Jerome Hughes has won one,
Yep.
Cleary's won three,
Cleary's won
DCE's won
three.
one, Chad Townsend's won one, and Adam Reynolds. I don't think there are any other premiership winning halfbacks in the comp. So is he your guy? Yeah, he still is. I would call that start from the Broncos a sputtering start. So it's like an engine that's just not quite ready to turn over and purr yet. Losing Brendan Piakura early stung him because
Oh, Carrigan,
they
yeah, on the edge. Yeah,
Carrigan's not an edge forward. He
yeah.
went out there and I love Paddy Carrigan. So let me preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I love Paddy Carrigan. In that game, I felt like his effort just dropped when he
Yeah.
went into the edge. And your attack is based off hit ups by guys like Carrigan and guys like Payne Haas. Now, you don't have Flegler. So that trio was a really strong middle trio for them last year. Corey Jensen did a great job, don't get me
He
wrong.
was good. Yeah,
But
he was good.
I really think they probably should have looked at a different option for that edge. Now, the reason why they would have put Paddy out there because he's a very good defender, he's a very good communicator. And between that center and the edge back rower, that's where a lot of the decision making comes in defense because they're throwing shape at you, they're throwing numbers at you, bodies in motion. So you need to make the right calls. Center is a really, really difficult position to defend. So they've put Paddy out there to potentially do that rather than, your Fletcher Baker or whoever else they had on the edge. But man, they lost some punch through the middle and they just missed their sets getting off to that good start. They missed Paddy's offloading. They missed even Paddy when he takes the ball, first off the ruck and he hits Reynolds or hits Ezra Mann out the back. They missed that smoothness and that punch that Paddy gave him in the middle. And I just felt like he didn't want to be out on an edge. I felt like he was unhappy to be out there and he played an unhappy game.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up beautifully. We usually, when he's in the middle and he's getting his hands dirty as often as he can, he's not Pat Carrigan, he's Pat Carry again because he just does not want to not touch the ball. But he didn't go missing, but he was just a little bit sort of cold out there, I guess. I'll ask you this, speaking of positional shifts, Selwyn Cobbo getting into the centres, getting a little bit more work, but the kick returns that are such a feature of his game, probably not as big a thing for the Broncos this year. And when you're talking about coming out of trouble over the course of the next 25, 26 weeks, is that going to become an issue?
Well, last year they had, Cobbo, and then they had a lot of the time Oates on the other wing. So their carries out of trouble, their exit sets are really, really strong. Now they've got Dean Mariner, or in this game they had Dean Mariner and Jesse Arthurs. Now I love Jesse Arthurs. I think he was huge in the grand final last year, and Dean Mariner's got a lot of potential. So yeah, maybe they did miss that, but I also think Cobbo's future probably is in the centres, and he was playing playing against another fella who was coming in off the wing for trying to cement himself as a centre in Joseph Suaalii.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Suaalii looked every bit the centre, and I thought Cobbo did too. I thought they both looked really good in their positions. Now, it's the whole thing about strengthening a weakness. Do you weaken a strength by pulling Cobbo and Suaalii out of those wing positions to put them in the centres? What's the right thing to do? I think the Roosters probably covered it better with their wings, but maybe Brisbane. Maybe Brisbane is still tinkering with a few little parts of their lineup with Flegler and Herbie Farnworth going. So maybe they haven't quite really hit that groove of how to excuse me, of how to replace those two guys because they do leave big holes.
They sure do. And obviously we saw Marty Tapau starting the match as well over Jensen and getting out there for those exchanges early. But I'll tell you what, if you're a Roosters fan, just go and buy a lottery ticket while you've got Suaalii and Manu playing in the same side and being options either side. Sam Walker fit, looking great. But I just want to, I'll tip my hat to our test captain, James Tedesco, who arguably I think was the best player in Vegas across all 4 teams. He was absolutely outstanding in everything he did.
Let me tell you this. In that weekend of games, there were some pretty good ones on show, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm,
You had
absolutely.
Latrell, Walsh, Turbo, Teddy. That is top level number ones that we had playing in that. And man, they all played very, very well.
Yeah, Walsh was good too. Walsh was he was
Walsh was
sharp.
good.
Yeah. I think the field dimensions might have hit Brisbane's shape a little bit too. I think that was a lot of talk about the slightly narrower field leading up, and there was a couple of times there where Walshy was really winding up in that sort of textbook, second man thing that he does out the back, and kind of ran out of space a little bit. And they were playing the way they normally play, and that's a movement that unlocked a lot of points for them in 2023. Whereas the other night we saw some damaging gains all night. Of course we did, but it looked a little squashed. It looked a little compressed at points.
I feel like in that situation, in that game, I feel like Trent Robinson outcoached Kevy just a little bit, just how he managed that whole situation. As you said, the dimensions of the field, how he managed the game. He turned it into a bash and barge game through the middle, and that just suited the Roosters, and that they were prepared to grind it out, and they did grind it out. So yeah, I think there was just maybe a slight edge to Robbo in the coaching stakes there.
And let's not forget JWH waiting in the wings for the Roosters. Well, they're a tough footy team even without him. Put him in there, Jesus.
He's been named to play reserve grade JWH this week, right? The Roosters reserve grade team, the 2 props, Dylan Napa and JWH. I've got this written down. Made a note of this. Egan Butcher and Salisi Fateki in the second row, and Connor Watson at lock. That is the Roosters reserve grade pack that's named this weekend.
It's a good year for the Roosters, mate. Even the inevitable attrition of the year. That sort of depth, is that repeated anywhere else in the NRL this year?
Well, it's funny. We'll probably get to it a little bit later on if we do a quick Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup wrap. I went through the teams. There's some really interesting lineups, and it's good to see that the depth in those 2 comps, it looks pretty strong. But anyway, I digress.
Who goes next year? This is the big question. I love it. Kevy Walters, as soon as he landed in Brisbane and got ambushed by the media. Obviously, they wanted to talk about another issue, which we'll get to in a moment. But it was him very happily saying, "No, look, all good. Let some new teams go over there next year. We'll just start our season here. And, it's been great to be part of the inaugural trip. But next year, we're good." Who goes? Who goes? They all want to go.
Who goes? I mean, what's the criteria? That I've heard there are pundits out there making this a huge conversation, and they're saying, "Oh, Melbourne were privately seething that they got very close to being one of the teams to go, but they didn't go." I don't know how keen the teams are to go.
Yeah.
I don't know what the criteria is for selecting the teams that went. I think those teams were fine. I said last week, if you want brand association, Cowboys, Titans, Dolphins, Broncos all have football teams in the USA with Dallas, Tennessee, Miami, and Denver. So is that a way to potentially jack up some more interest over there? I don't know. Is it how's this? Do they turn that weekend into the World Club Challenge?
Interesting
Is that the Wigan versus Penrith game? Does that happen? Because in my opinion, that has merit. Because from what I could gather, there are a stack of English people at that weekend as well. So that definitely has merit. Do they, how they structure this weekend? Someone said, Oh, that's got to be magic round over there. They can't do magic round over
No, I
there.
can't do
It
magic.
can't.
I'm sick of
It
hearing
can't
that.
be. It
It's
can't be
not going to
done.
happen.
And I'll
No.
tell you why it can't be done. They won't get insurance for it. You can't have that many people from a one organization in the one place at the one time because, perish the thought, something happens, the organization just falls on its ass. So,
Mm.
if one of the airlines collapses, or if there's perish the thought, another 9/11 where every
Yeah, yeah,
aircraft is grounded for
yeah.
a week or even for a day, the cost just skyrockets. You can't do magic round over there. But I don't know. I mean, do Penrith deserve a chance? They won 3 in a row. The only reason they probably weren't there was because of the World Club Challenge.
Yeah. Well, we got Panthers over there as well, of course. So there's the
Yeah, the
brand as
Carolina
such.
Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, you'd think probably a couple of teams like Melbourne and Penrith will get a start. Um, yeah, but to be honest, I'm not convinced the administrators are falling over themselves to get over there. But I might be wrong.
I'm right there with you. I think it's a huge logistical trip, and from a high performance point of view too. That start at that time of year, and we've spoken a lot about form, fitness heading into that. It's a massive extra slog for everyone involved. So interesting to see where it goes from here. But I tell you what, overall, massive pass mark. A lot of the talk in the aftermath has been. Of course, centering on a certain incident in I believe the 69th minute of the Broncos and Roosters game. Johnny, we'll get to it very soon, but I just want the week itself. So last week we were very lucky to have Adi Cooney from the LA Mongrel tell us a little bit about what else was happening. We were talking about the Nines tournament with teams from all across America. We were talking about America and Canada playing a test match. We were talking about the Combine. We were talking about men and women basically auditioning to come to Australia and have a crack. This all unfolded. If you weren't, if you just tuned in on Sunday to watch it, you probably saw those two games, thought how good, that was great. There was so much more going on. I think we saw some pretty good results across the board, like some spirited stuff, like the Combine especially, some absolute talents.
Yeah, look, I don't know how to really illustrate how impressed I am with what happened. And you know what changed my mind, Joel, and I was actually pretty critical of this whole Vegas experiment, and I was the first one to go and say it's just for gambling money. And you know what? That's a big part of it. It absolutely is. But talking to 80 last week and talking to my buddies from California Rugby League, over the course of the week, as I said to you before, this was the best thing that could have happened for them. So that Nines tournament, it was won by the Sacramento Immortal. Um, it was unreal, and I'm on a message thread with the LA Mongrel guys, and it was just great game, guys. Let's do this better. Now we're going for a beer. I'll see you tomorrow. So it was everything good about rugby league, everything good about it. The test match between Canada and the USA ended in a draw.
Yeah, draw. Hard
Amazing,
fought draw.
amazing,
Yeah.
hard fought draw.
Yeah.
So you've then got guys playing a genuine sanctioned test match. Should that have been on the main field? Should the International Rugby League step in and say to the NRL, okay, we'll foot the bill to have that test match before the doubleheader? Yeah, absolutely. They should do that. 100% they should do that. And then you've got the local American fans sitting there cheering for their own team.
That's it.
The fan zone looked unbelievable from the footage that I saw. The Combine, as you said, such a good way to really get some eyes on some athletic talent and potentially some guys who could fill a roster spot, and girls as well. Obviously, 2 women are coming over to train with the NRLW. One of them's played sevens rugby for the USA, so she's got a gig over there. She's impressed everyone playing in Utah. So look, I think all in all, the entire week, it had the right kind of party atmosphere. It had the right kind of quality of product on the field. It had the right broadcast and distribution. Yeah, I just don't think you can. I don't think you can knock it. To be honest, you can't.
No, mate, I'm right there with you. And we spoke about the Combine. We've seen news this week as well that Aussie clubs are already going, you know what? Shit, there's some genuine talent. We spoke about Liz Tafuna. She was the one coming out last week saying, "Get me over there. I'll show you how to play."
She's
a bit of
coming.
footy." She's coming. She's coming. US Rugby Sevens all the way to the NRLW, potentially the Raiders. I think Don Ferner came out and said, "You know what? Jag it. Let's do it. Sign it.
Yeah.
Make a deal.
Absolutely.
Get it done. Get it done." That's awesome. It's so good to see. But I love the idea of that curtain raiser as well, because speaking earlier about the scheduling, local time, I believe on the East Coast was like 11:30 by the time the Broncos and Roosters kicked off, and it's like, turn it into a show. It was always going to be a show. Get it started earlier if you can. What a way to do it! US and Canada playing an annual Test match as a curtain raiser,
and be it an NRL game, be it the World Club Championship, that to me that's got to be part of the program. Has to be.
It's exciting. I've got the goosies going just thinking.
The tingles.
I'll say it right now. The Grapple podcast broadcasting live from Las Vegas next year. Give you the hot tip right now.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
Sure is. Absolutely. Get your tickets
through. Is the deal done? Is the ink dry? Is the deal done?
We're just waiting until we get the paperwork cleared up because we're going to travel on the same flight as the Lost City, the Amazon guys. So we're just making sure that the airstrip's all sorted. And it's all good. No, don't worry about it. It's all good.
We just have to sign the waivers in case there is any sort of cannibalistic issues that we have to deal with.
Yeah, we'll be right. It's all good. Hey, details. We'll just get it done. Now let's play another game. Johnny,
I like
new
games.
segment. I reckon we should bring back our game show music here. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, it's time for the Grapple Podcast second game of the day. This is a new game that's just come up in the last couple of days. We're literally making it up as we go along. What's the game called, Johnny Manning?
Today's game is called Is Spencer Leniu a Dickhead?
Thank you, Johnny.
So, Joel.
Yes.
The first part of this game, and the only part of this game, is when we ask each other, is Spencer Leniu a dickhead? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, look. One great. Okay, so here you go. All right. Here you go.
Game over. That's it. The game's over. That was it.
Thanks so much for joining us. Johnny is dressed by...
Shoes by John Carandonis.
Yeah, that's it. When we move with Allied Pickfords, the careful movers. Now, no, look, let's be completely honest here. You get up, you get an email, you get a call from your club in, I'm going to say, would have been midway through last year, if not earlier, saying this is happening. We'd love you to go over as one of 4 players to represent rugby league, to go over ahead of the event and be an ambassador. That's what we want you to do, Spencer. You're a premiership winning prop. You're young, you're 23, you got it all ahead of you. You're going to a new club, one of the absolute powerhouses of the NRL. You're our guy. Go over there and rub shoulders. We want you to we're going to get you on the sideline of NFL games. We're going to get you doing everything. We're going to get you, you are an ambassador for the game of rugby league. How's that sound? Sounds good, bro.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Can't wait.
Spencer, just don't say or do anything silly. Just be cool.
Like what? What would I say or do? I'm a responsible young man. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm not going to go out and racially abuse someone. Far out.
No. Why would I do? No. Look, even that, I won't do that, and I then won't double down on that with one of the most incendiary post-match interviews you're ever going to hear. I got a few questions here. Firstly, where on earth was the Roosters media manager when Spencer Leniu spoke to both Triple M and Channel 9 post-match? Now, we've got the audio of him chatting to Channel 9's Danny Weidler. Let's take a bit of a recap. Let's have a bit of a listen of Spencer's post-match chat.
Just a little bit of banter on the field, and whatever he wants to do with it, he can come see me after if he wants. But yeah,
did something happen or?
No, I don't know. It was just all fun and games on the field, a little banter on the field. But if there's anything, I'm here. If they want to do anything, we stay in the same hotel, so I'm right there.
Come at me, bro. Okay, so fun and games. Okay, let's unpack it, Johnny. So fun and games on the field. You've played professional rugby league. Is a racial slur a fun and fun or a game?
No, it's neither of those things. It's. I don't know where to start with this. Number one, I just I feel for Ezra, man, because
Absolutely.
the great Jonathan Thurston said he was in tears about it. That's just horrible. That is horrific, and just a dick move. But then, as I don't know where to start, Joel, I don't know where to start. Where was the
No, that's all right.
Roosters media manager? He should not have been allowed near a microphone. But then he comes out with, hey, it's just, it's banter on the field. It should just stay on the field. But if you want to take it somewhere off the field, you know where to find me. Like, what is wrong with this dude's melon that he thinks that's an appropriate response to it? That it just should have been remorse, remorse, remorse. He's going to the judiciary tonight, I believe. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but I can't believe that. And as you said, he was the ambassador for one of the ambassadors for the game. Hey, let's just take a quick sidebar on the 4 ambassadors they sent over. So Lenu is dealing with this now. Campbell Graham injured for the whole year. Aaron Woods didn't make the 17 for Manly to play. And Billy Walters is the coach's son.
That's a great advert. NRL nepotism.
It's not good. No. It's not good. But
I want to go. Look, I'm wearing my colours here. I want to go on the record. Billy, love you. He had a bloody great year last year. I'm happy to say he's earned his spot, but I don't know if he was the guy for that in that quartet. I don't know if any of that quartet was the guy for that quartet. To be completely honest, just
poorly chosen. But look, I mean, yeah, I just don't know what to say about that situation. I mean, Latrell's spoken out about it. Lottie Takiri's spoken out about it. Cody Walker's spoken out about it. Everything they're saying is right. Like
Lottie Takiri called out Trent Robinson earlier in the week, and because Trent Robinson basically said, Trent Robinson is always quite good at playing a straight bat and being as diplomatic as he needs to be, but basically said, look, we don't know if it happened or not, and we won't know until there's investigation. And Lottie basically said, look, if they say it happened, it happened. And that's the whole thing. If a player comes out and makes that formal complaint on the field, it's not the sort of thing you do just to get a rise or get an advantage. It's not a frivolous thing to do. It's not. And I mean, the Ezra Mam showed courage doing that, but also he's now in the spotlight. So he's put himself in the firing line of people who are going to say, oh, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe he meant something else. I don't know. But yeah, it's just horrible. That's a talking point that's coming out of it. PVL, once again, Peter Vellani said it's not going to diminish what we've achieved over here. It's a bad blight. It's never okay. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter where they're playing. This sort of thing is never, ever, ever going to be okay. But I will say in America, a sport where where racial sensitivities, particularly in the sporting world, are very, very high at all times. And we've seen players step back from entire careers taking stances throughout history, haven't we, across the board? Absolutely. I mean, Colin Kaepernick was the guy who was taking a knee all of those times, and no NFL team wanted to touch him. Look, it's a crazy situation, and it appears as though Spencer Leniu needs a little bit of education and a little bit of I don't know, like a syringe that has like smart in it. They need to inject that into his brain, because at the moment it's all filled up with dumb. And I'm like, even Ivan Cleary, he's coached the bloke for years, and he came out and said, look, this is completely out of character for Spencer Leniu. And I'm like, okay, sure. How is he at this stage of his game? And the CV that he's got, which, let's be honest, is a bloody good CV for 23 years of age. Yeah. How is this kind of brain explosion there? How has this not been ironed out years before? If you've got that in you, when you are in that heat of the moment and you're fired up and that's where you go, that's the button you push. Why are we turning around now and going, oh, fuck, eh? Was that Spencer? No. Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. Look, I mean... It's always there. That's the thing. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. Yep. I mean, everyone knows that it's the dumbest thing anyone could have done, and
the two interviews afterwards,
Oof.
just don't do that. And then the alleged confrontation in the hotel afterwards. And I think we have to say these alleged things. Everything's alleged at the moment, so we're not saying anything happened because we can't. But the alleged, confrontation in the hotel afterwards, which allegedly was instigated by him as well. I think he probably just needs to go away and understand life and, as I said,
Yep.
talk to someone with some brains.
And once again, the Roosters media manager actually was there allegedly for that alleged altercation, and allegedly stepped into the alleged altercation along with Tony Staggs and Pat Carrigan, and said,
Well,
"Can you just
I'm glad the
get
Roosters
out of
media
it?"
manager woke up at some point because
Yep.
they were asleep at the end of that game.
What I haven't liked as well is Spencer's manager saying, can you stop criticising Spencer? All you First Nations players and whatnot that have been saying that it's out of order, can you stop it? Because it might influence the judiciary. I find that...
He's not going to be playing this weekend, that's for sure.
You saw, you mentioned recently Les Boyd and Ellery Hanley. Ellery Hanley not wanting to get onto a flight with Les Boyd. Let's be honest, who would? A fired up Les Boyd. Imagine standing in the departure lounge going from Vegas back to LA and then seeing you're sharing a plane with the entire team of the Roosters and you're the Broncos. And you've got what? Probably 50, 60, I think 60 in the travelling parties of it, just getting on the same flight and going...
Completely awkward.
All right. Look, a blemish, but I'm not saying it's... Look, let justice take its course. I think the NRL, the actual audio of the incident is tough to find because of the referee's proximity at the time. It's going to potentially come down to word against word, but there are multiple players coming out saying this is exactly what happened. It reminds me, crossing sports, it goes back to the awful Andrew Simons Monkeygate affair from that test series against India
with Harbhajan?
Years ago, with Harbhajan Singh. And it came down to that sort of thing, and integrity became ethics, honesty, all of that. It became a big melting pot of character assassination across the board. And we got away from the fact that at the end of the day, someone said something really, really shit and out of place on the sporting field.
You said it's going to come down to word against word, but Leniu hasn't come out and denied it.
He hasn't.
Like what'll be entered into evidence is the two post-match interviews that he did. So
That's it.
Where was your denial there? Anyway,
it's all fun and games on the record. Anyway, look, it's interesting, Johnny. But let's get back to Australia now because the mighty Queensland Cup, the New South Wales Cup, they're firing up for a massive year.
Yeah,
you've got the inside mail, mate. What do you like? What's got you excited?
I want to have a quick look at the a couple of games I just want to, I guess, look at the players that are taking the field in the Queensland Cup. So, if you look at the Dolphins, who are taking on where have I got? Actually, go to the New South Wales Cup. Let's go there first, mate.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said before, Roosters taking on Penrith. That Roosters pack of JWH, Dylan Napa, Egan Butcher, Connor Watson, and Fateki, just unreal. Now, for Penrith, you've got a player like Sonny Luke in their pack as well. Now, you look at Canberra. That Canberra team is stacked full of first graders as well. They're taking on Newcastle. The other thing is when these teams get named, because there are reserves and then the extended bench is named in the NRL teams, a lot of these teams are being named without necessarily a full team. But then New Zealand are taking on Newtown. How about the New Zealand halves? Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tamare Martin. Are you kidding me? That is outrageous. This is ridiculous. The Eels are taking on the Dogs and St. George are playing the Bears. Bring back the Bears. I'm going to continue to die on that hill. Now, if you do want to have a look at the Queensland Cup, now let's look at the Blackhawks. So the Townsville Blackhawks, who are no longer a feeder team for the North Queensland Cowboys. Let's have a look at some first graders in their lineup. So Gem Shibasaki, Khalifa Firefire Law, Jalen Feeney, James Tarmow,
Big Jimmy
Jaden
Tarmout,
Hodges,
number 8.
Jimmy Tarmow,
Wow.
Jaden Hodges, Patrick Kafusi, and Kyle Labert. That is just in their starting lineup. Now, the Pride, the Northern Pride, who with the Mackay Cutters are now the 2 feeder teams to the Cowboys. They're taking on Tweed. Now, Tweed have Tom Duffy playing at Tom Weaver, playing at halfback, and the Pride have Tom Duffy. Now, I've always said in any rugby league match you can never have too many Toms, but these are the 2 really strong up and coming sevens of their age group. I think they're both about 20 years old. Tom Weaver has been the New South Wales halfback in that age group, and Duffy's been the Queensland halfback in that age group. They're both really good, solid players. Weaver's played a little bit of first grade. I don't know if Duffy has yet, but that's going to be a pretty exciting matchup. The other one is the Wynnum Seagulls. They're heading up to Port Moresby. Now, it seems as though they actually are going, which is good.
This was a big topic of discussion leading into it, obviously, with everything going on in PNG, but it looks like it's on the schedule. They're going to Port. They're doing it.
Well, have a look at this Wynnum team. So Sione Hopewadi, Deloise Hoida, Corey Pakes, like just stacked full of NRL talent.
Kurt Falls as well, playing in the halves. I like that get for Brisbane. I like it. I like the backup potential of Kurt Falls.
Absolutely. So in both of these, I guess second grade comps, just littered with not just NRL experience, but NRL stars. Now, if you look at the Redcliffe team, so these 3 guys haven't made the Redcliffe 17 or the Dolphins 17 take on the Cowboys on Sunday. Katoa, Avarillo, and Ewan Aitken. So they're most likely going to be running around for the Redcliffe Dolphins as well.
Mate, they got Val Tuare in the centres like already.
Val Tuare in the centres. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Like I think these 2 comps are. I'm excited about these two sort of second tier competitions. It's going to be great to see these guys run around and see what they can do. I just hope none of them, throw their toys for the fact they're playing reserve grade. I mean, you look at Chanel Harris-Tavita after the World Cup 2 years ago. He just went. He said, he's like an artist or a writer." He said, "I'm quitting rugby league. I'm going to go traveling and writing." Now he's obviously had his year off. He's come back. Unreal. Tamari Martin's played in the grand final. Warrior Hargraves and Napa have won grand finals. It's crazy that these guys that are running around. Like Kyle Labert's played in a World Cup for PNG. James Tarmow's played Test football and won a grand final. Just the amount of players running around at the moment. I think the depth across the board's pretty good.
Yeah, mate, well said. I really like Trey Fuller at the back for the Dolphins as well. Absolute powerhouse.
He got his start first grade debut last year, and he scored an amazing try.
Yep. Really, really good. The Dolphins are just quickly they're opening their season against the Cowboys at Lang Park, and I'll tell you what, it's a tough team to make. I like what Uncle Wayne has done there, and as you say, I hope they don't throw the toys if they're not there. The likes of Avarillo, massive buy over the off-season, but Tessie knew impossible to resist for Uncle Wayne, which is that it's a good thing. It's a good thing, Dolphins fans.
It is, but I feel like Tessie New's one bad game away from Avarillo taking that spot
permanently.
Because I think Avarillo's a great player. I rate him highly.
I've tipped him, I'll die on the hill with that. I have tipped him as buy of the year. I'm sticking with that, regardless of where he starts. Yep. I like him a lot. All right, and you know what? If it doesn't work out there, the lost city of the Amazon will be recruiting before you know it, and they would throw big bucks at the likes of Avarillo or Tessie New to go over there. So, exciting times for rugby league.
Huge money.
Johnny, it's been real.
It's been awesome, mate.
Good luck getting your ref's license over there.
It's good. I'll be back. I'm going to go to that Cowboys game on Sunday at Lang Park. I'll be back for that. So fear not. But it's going to be a really cool weekend of rugby league ahead of us. I'm going to leave you
Yep.
with my special. I'm going to leave you with my special. So Knights Raiders. I'm worried about the Raiders this year, especially for this game as well. They're missing a lot of guys. They've got a question mark over them. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck returns for New Zealand versus the Sharks. The Sharks need to improve this year. Melbourne take on Penrith. No Munster potentially, and that Melbourne team doesn't look as scary as it has in previous years.
Do we know what he was doing in the shower, just quickly?
No, I've got
the old shower groin strain.
There's a question mark. It's like the Tommy Turbo racing down the spit at Manly. Hammy strain. We'll never know the truth. Parrot taking on the Dogs. It'd be great to see Critter Crichton, see how he goes. Drew Hutchison.
Yep.
A lot of new buys for the Dogs. But here is my tip, my special for the week. An under siege St. George will beat the Titans.
You got them home. Okay. Yep.
St. George will beat the Gold Coast in the opening round.
I'll go head-to-head with you here. Yep. All right.
You heard it here first.
You got St. George. I'm all over the Titans. I think they still need to fix their halves to be a genuine force, but I know, get Fafita back into that side, them at full strength. It's a formidable forward pack. I think that the Desi, that gritty edge, I feel like Hasler can bring that mongrel. There you go. There's that word. He can bring that mongrel that they probably have lacked a little bit the last few years. I like the Titans. I love the matchup of the Eels and Doggies. As you said, it's a great round one matchup, especially seeing what the Bulldogs can do. I'm going to tip them for the upset. There's my special as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like they can click and get out there and upset them. I could be spectacularly wrong. With you on the Panthers, they started last year pretty slow. I'm not tipping that this year. I feel like the other teams that have had this additional week too, I feel like it's they're going to come out running. I've got the Panthers, obviously. Warriors with RTS. He is just an absolute weapon. Knights at home, big time. And I've got to say, Titans, and I'm gonna go with your guys, the Cowboys, to get it done at Lang Park.
I think the Cowboys get it done by double digits. I think they make a statement. I really do. I think this is going to be a statement game for the Cowboys. Yeah.
Get out there and smash them. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's we'll try and remember our tips next week so we can either boast or hide under the table.
Hey, I remembered them. I took the Roosters and Souths, so I got one. You took Manly and the Broncos, so we're sort of
1-1.
We're going at one each at the moment. So
level pegging.
We'll recap it for next week's after this week's tips. Yeah.
I love it very much. All right, rugby league is back in Australia. We loved it in Vegas. I loved the showcase. We had 40-20 attempts. We had 2-point drop goals. We had new calls being put out that even the players didn't understand, and it still worked. We had chips, we had grubbers, we had bombs, we had all of it, and it still worked. And Americans are there going, just listening to that Russell Crowe video, going, "Oh yeah, that must be that. Oh great, yeah, cool.
That must be awesome. A pass. That must be a tackle." And on my signal, unleash hell.
Unleash hell. This is the Grapple Podcast. Get involved. We've got social media, very early stages of social media pages happening too. You can find us on Instagram. You should be able to find us on Facebook if I've pressed the button there. I'm not sure yet. We'll work that out. But anyway.
If you can't find us on Facebook or Instagram, just email Zuckerberg directly.
Exactly. Yeah. He'll sort it out.
He'll
share, subscribe, tell everyone you know. We'll see you next time. We'll do it all again. It's rugby league, it's sport.
How good's technology? How good's technology? Hey,
it's clean, good clean audio from across another hemisphere. Johnny, I love it.
Indeed.
Let's go Broncos. See you next time.
Hello. How about that ride in? I guess that's why they call it Sin City.
Did Caesar actually live here?